Hello, guys, and welcome to Crusher Convo, where we are crushing the conversation one episode at a time. Tonight, we see what the upper deckers go through on a normal day-to-day on the Cerritos as we talk about, as you guessed it, upper decks. So let's start with this clip. And of course, I don't have the clip ready because that's just the kind of day I'm having.
I refilled the hypo sprays. We're good to go next time some virus makes everyone sing or whatever.
Shut up and leave me alone.
Oh, someone woke up on the nasty side of the bed today.
Spare me your Westlake.
Nobody else is going to put up with you, honey.
Apparently some of the crew don't like my pain management.
Because you don't?
Okay, I gotta say this real fast. I was very excited to see the other crew members. I've been complaining about it since the start of this season, especially like Shax and Tiana. And of course, we have this scene with Tiana with her nurse, obviously. And I don't know about you, but I feel like this was an homage to Beverly and Alyssa Ogawa. A little bit more funnier, but yes. All of them were going through different things, as we noticed, and we got to see like their day-to-day. The one confusing factor was Shax, because all of a sudden he was in that meeting and he's having these hallucinations, and I wasn't sure what was happening there. So before I continue, I'm going to go ahead and check the chat. Hello, Chuck. How are you this evening? And there's Captain Quadrant saying also hello to Chuck. So thanks, guys, for joining me. I've had a very long day, very exciting day, but a very long day. And so I kind of bumped up my my time because I have a lot of editing to do after this. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that real fast. But back to the episode. So yeah. The first thing we actually see is the lower deckers, and they are doing a pumpkin carving. And Mariner comes in with paint all over herself, and she was saying she got trapped in this mission, or trapped in a painting, I believe she said. And Boimler was jealous. And then they kind of just started talking how boring it is for the upper deckers. Okay, so the senior officers, obviously, is what they're talking about, and how they're the exciting ones of the Cerritos. And lo and behold, we start to see the different things that each of the bridge crew goes to. And we had started off with their morning briefing. And it's kind of like the same morning briefing that we saw in the Next Generation, and mostly the Next Generation, but yes, where she's going through each of the departments, security and, engineering and sick bay and all that, just seeing like what's going on and anything that needs to be fixed. And of course, with Tiana, she is being told that she's not given enough pain meds, which makes sense. And that's why her nurse, Westlake, was like, because you don't give pain meds, you kind of just let people suffer, right? And she decided to take it upon herself to up the ante with her tolerance level. And so the majority of the episode is Westlake absolutely torching Tiana with multiple different things. And of course, we'll kind of get to what happened at the end of that when the big surprise that happens. I'm trying to remember, though. I only got to see the episode a couple of times. I didn't get to see it as much as I like to. But I think the lower deckers, so like Mariner and Boimler and Tendi and Rutherford, I think they went into a holodeck to go like chill and have fun because they knew nothing that happened on the ship, which kind of cracks me up a little bit on how that goes. Hey, Dave. Thanks for joining. Yeah, like I said, I had to bump up the time, so I'm glad I got some people in the chat today. Let me check Instagram. No one there yet, so sorry. So you guys let me know what you thought of this episode. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. Okay. I did enjoy seeing each, with Billups and Shax and Tiana and Freeman. I did like seeing them have their own story. But I don't know. There was just something about the episode that just didn't really grab me. Like last week's episode, I can watch over and over again. And it's not even just because of Data. There was just something about this that was just like, okay. And I enjoyed the stuff that they went through and the stuff that happened. But I don't know. I can't even explain it. It was just like, okay. And Ransom. Ransom. He just reminds me of what Mariner had to go through, right? When he was her senior officer as an ensign. And he, of course, is doing these same things of like tricking the ensigns to work together and basically do what he wants, but not have them realize that that's what they did. And of course, they're doing, as you can see, my little thing there, it says that's not a space cow, which was I wrote it down. And actually, it's one of my, it's one of my tricorder ratings. The bagoons, very adorable little creatures. Well, not little, but very adorable creatures. I kind of enjoyed them. And they had a scientist come on from Starfleet. He was going to be studying them, and they couldn't, like, they were running havoc all over the cargo bay. And it was like the Delta shift and Beta, I think it was. And they were just arguing and stuff, but they ended up working together. And it was because Ransom was doing these odd things where they were like, okay, he's not helping, so we're going to have to help each other, right? So in a sense, he got them to do exactly what he wanted them to do. And that's what he was saying in his personal log. And everyone had a personal log to kind of note what they were going through. I'm looking at the chat right now. Oh, I got a bunch of stuff. I better check out here. There's David. Hello there. Thank you for joining me tonight. Dave, yes, so glad to catch you on the live again. Yes. Like I said, I usually start at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but I had to start an hour earlier because I had a very exciting thing that happened that I'm going to talk about soon. So can't wait to talk to you guys about that. I liked seeing how the other side worked. I did too, because like Mariner and Boimler has said, they're like, oh, nothing happens with the upper deckers. We get all the fun and we have to deal with all this stuff. Not necessarily true. And because they are upper deckers, right? They are the senior officers. They don't necessarily, and I don't want to say that the lower deckers brag about it, but they kind of just like, all right, this is just a normal routine. This stuff happens. We just get it done and then you move on. Right? So that was interesting. David says, in my honest opinion, this one didn't have the cleanest through line. It was more about the vignettes and connecting them was sort of an afterthought. Yes. I agree. There was just something that was missing that I just couldn't get into the story. Dave did say, but I didn't love it. I give it a 7.5 out of 10. I don't need to rewatch it, but I enjoyed it. Yes. So I guess we're all on the same page, which is great. And it kind of reflects in my tricorder rating. Not a lot of people actually voted. And that's always a clear indication when someone doesn't really enjoy an episode, is when I don't get a lot of votes. So I do want to talk about Freeman. I thought actually hers was funny because she was kind of going through her day-to-day as being a captain, and it just kind of reminded me of Picard in disaster when he had to go be with the kids who won the science fairs, right? He's doing this kind of mundane thing, but he has to do it as a captain. I'm going to give these kids a tour. And it's just showing what she has to go through. And of course, she has, I wrote his name down. I guess you can call him her secretary. And Stevens. Okay. So she has Stevens. He has a little list. He's like, all right, these are your appointments. Boom, boom, boom. She goes to, I guess, a recital for that ensign who was de-evolved. So Genesis, she had that Barclay predomorphosis syndrome. I hope I said that right. And I think, she's trying to enjoy it. Was okay. I kind of saw a little Riker and Troy moment. So as they were watching, and it wasn't actually the recital, there was a meta poetry reading going on. So it reminded me of The Next Generation. I want to say it was Schisms, where Riker had fallen asleep and Troy had to hit him and he started clapping too soon. I think that was a little Easter egg, a little callback from that. Chuck said, I wasn't expecting an episode about Upper Decker trading cards. Did I miss something? Chuck, you got to explain this. I'm not really sure what you're talking about. Now I feel like I have failed in paying attention to that. So let me know what you're talking about. So anyways, with Freeman, she's going through, and she kept mentioning about, I really need a couple of hours later of just me time. He's like, no, we got to go through this. And she's like, no, it's really important, but we're not really sure what she's talking about. And as of course, this is all going on, Tiana's being shocked to death. Shax is going through this whole hallucination and visions things that I believe Bajorans go through. I just don't understand why he's going through it. So does he go through this all the time? I know he was saying he had to try his, inner peace and be zen and not be angry all the time. So I didn't get the Shax stuff at all. So yeah, it just seemed kind of thrown in there and it made no sense. Billups I found interesting because it seems like crap happens in engineering all the time. And he's just like, everyone dies, but engineers live. Like, this is just how it goes, because he was showing that ensign like, oh, I had put it down here. Engineering has issues with the plasma containers. Okay. And he says he sometimes has to do like refit it and just kind of do it himself. And she's kind of freaking out, but he's like, no, we got this. And then domino effect, right? Things were just happening all the time. Chuck says Upper Decks makes sports trading cards, such as baseball. Oh, that's what you're talking about. Yes, Upper Deck. Gosh, I'm having a flashback of my childhood. I used to get the baseball cards for one, trying to find all the Dodger cards because I was a huge Dodger fan, and two, the bubble gum. But I completely forgot because they don't sell those really anymore. I think you can find a couple in the grocery store, but it's not like it used to be. You'll find Magic, D&D, and like Pokemon cards, but not baseball. David says, I think a lot of the disconnected nature of the episode is because each of those segments was a sort of a love letter to the bridge crew episode trope. Okay, that makes sense. I think it was also, well, see, here's the thing. Like I said, with Shax, it seemed disconnected because we didn't know why he was having these hallucinations. With Tiana, okay, they started off with, hey, we're getting complaints that you're not doing pain management well. And so she decided to take matters in her own hands. Then Freeman, same thing, just kind of dealing, we're just seeing her as the captain and what she goes through day to day. Ransom, kind of in the middle between like a Tiana and Shax, where we are seeing him work with the ensigns, but we don't really get to understand why the scientist was there and what these creatures are and stuff like that. We kind of figure that out later, obviously, of why the professor was there or the scientist, but That's where it was a little off to me. And maybe it was also because there was so many. I think because honestly, we were dealing with Shax, Phillips, Freeman, Ransom, Tiana. We were dealing with 5 different stories all at once. That's a lot in like 20 minutes. So I think that's what kind of threw me off a little bit, because I really want to have an A, B, and C. And this was A, B, C, D, and E, right? And that's just a lot to kind of cram in last minute. Again, not really sure when they were told that Lower Decks was canceled. So I don't know if they just kind of threw this together in hopes that people will be like, hey, this is their story. It didn't feel finished. Just like David said, it was just kind of unfinished. It was just kind of like, we kind of needed a little bit more. I think maybe if they had put this in 2 separate episodes, like a part 1 and 2, which I know they couldn't do, obviously, but it might have worked a little bit better. Let me see here. So I said Westlake is an Ogawa. Friedman's to-do list. I guess we can kind of just go straight to the Clickets. And this was a brief mention in the beginning in their morning briefing, where they were saying that there was not a lot of Clicket activity. This is the security portion. And Freeman was kind of like not sure, like, oh, okay, whatever. So when all of a sudden that professor scientist guy melts disgustingly into a Clicket, and all of a sudden they're invaded. Okay. Pretty ballsy, if you ask me. I think that was just, because they were going through their day-to-day, they were going through their stuff. They didn't even realize that they were invaded. I mean, obviously, they let this professor come on through the transporter pad. Nothing clicked. Nothing set off alarms. I don't know how the Clicket even made it on there. So that was, of course, I see JB Tails and Tails has joined over on Instagram. Hello. So I think that was the issue, right? So all of a sudden, here's the things, boom, 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 and then big invasion. All right. And then they all were attacking everybody at once. Except Ransom. He was asleep. Was he asleep? That's another question. He was pretending to be asleep, but wasn't paying attention that they were being invaded. I don't know, guys. I just had some issues with this episode. I have more questions than answers. And so this Clicket, of course, is coming to, because they wanted those bagoons to basically harvest their cloaking power and possibly eat them if they were good texture and taste. Okay. I don't have really an emotional attachment to the bagoons. I really don't have an emotional attachment to these Clickets. I don't know. We don't see them really as a huge threat. This is really just like the upper deckers actually do a lot more than the lower deckers realize. And I think that was what they were trying to come across. It just felt empty. David says, I'll have to take off for now. Have a great evening. You too, David. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it. So yeah, as the Clickets are invading and they are attacking everyone, I think it's funny. I don't think the Clickets actually entered engineering. They were dealing with their own problems that the Clickets weren't there. I don't remember even seeing Clickets in engineering. I do remember them coming to Shax because Shax was Zen and he was having his visions. And then, of course, they attacked the Delta and Beta shifts. And then, of course, attacked Tiana. The thing about Tiana is that the Clicket shot her and the phaser was set to kill and it didn't phaser at all. And he was like, what the heck? And it was because she had just gone through so much torture from Westlake to try and build up her tolerance that even the phaser couldn't kill Tiana. And she pretty much attacked him almost to death and then almost got killed. But then it was that meta actor poetry guy walked up and saved the day, and he went and seen. So, um, so yeah, again, little mixed things. Now, of course, the two shifts are helping to stop these clickets. Shax went and fought off all of his, thinking that they were Cardassians. And then he was like, oh, whoops, because he basically killed them all. So that was very, very interesting. And then after they decide to, you know, stop them, Freeman then realizes, oh, these are the ones that don't like compliments. If they like compliments, that's how you defeat them. So she just starts going off. She's all like, you guys are doing a great job, and compliments to you of being an amazing captain. And it was so degrading that they're like, flee. So yeah, again, it was just very quick. This happened, this happened, this happened. And then we find out why she wanted those couple hours, and it was because it's her anniversary. I remember a couple episodes ago, I had mentioned, oh, I think it was when I had my coworker with me, Alexa. She was asking me questions, and I was all like, yeah, she's married to an admiral, but I couldn't remember his name, and I actually didn't think his last name was Freeman. I thought that was Carol's name. But no, Admiral Freeman, and he's on Earth. Okay, and his name is Zoe, which probably was mentioned. I just didn't remember it. And it was their anniversary, so she was hoping just to have a couple of hours of just like going on the holodeck and just kind of seeing him and talking with him and stuff, because they don't get to see each other very often. But was very sweet is that her secretary Stevens knew that it was her anniversary, and she got to bring the admiral to the Cerritos so they could spend time together on the holodeck. Dave says, great to see the admiral again. Yeah, I mean, it was quick. Mariner didn't even get to see her dad. She didn't even really believe that her dad was there at the very end. But so I thought that was sweet, because you can tell she misses her husband, and it's hard to be in these high-ranking as high-ranking officers and not be able to see each other. So that was a nice I thought that was cute. I thought that was really sweet, because I think Stevens, he kept blowing off Freeman's like, I need these 2 hours off. He's like, no, we got to stick to the schedule. And it's because he had the surprise for her. And then, of course, instead of seeing the lower deckers at the cafeteria, we see the upper deckers, right? And the one that we didn't get to see at all was the counselor, whose name is escaping me at the moment. And he was only in the briefing and then at the very end. And of course, they had asked Shax, like, hey, you had left very quickly. Are you okay? And he was going like, yeah, I was just having my visions and stuff like that, still having to try to deal with my anger. Big Limo. Yes, thank you. So, and he was all like, well, therapy can help with that. And Shax was like, when do we begin? So that was funny. And then Westlake was sitting next to Tiana, and she got burned a little bit. And she's like, oh, that's hot. And she's like, okay, fine. I'll up the pain management. And he was like, good kitty. And he started like petting her, and she started purring. I don't know if I want to know what kind of relationship Tiana has with her nurse, but I mean, they seem to get along very well. He knew where to pet her. That's my question. And then, of course, the lower deckers come in, and they were like, oh, that was fun. Nothing happened. Cool. Even though they were like, I thought I heard an invasion. Nah, nothing happens to the senior officers or the bridge crew. And then they were all like, well, I thought I saw your dad. No, my dad wasn't here. It was just like nothing happens. And that's kind of a trope that I think David was talking about. It was one of those things where you see the two sides, right? When there's one major side, and I'm going to give an example. Let's say, Saved by the Bell. Okay. Can't really recall if they did an episode, but we're always seeing the kids, we're always seeing something happen. But then we have a thing where it's talking about the teachers, right? Or the principal building. So it's one of those things where, you kind of be all like, oh no, they do go through the stuff. We just don't know it because we're so focused on the kids. And this was kind of the same thing. And the senior officers apparently go through this all the time because they didn't seem really phased by any of this stuff happening, especially like Billups in engineering. And so yeah, I think again, it was just kind of thrown together of just like, let's see the senior officers, but it just didn't really mesh as well. There was one part, and I believe it was with the Delta and Beta shifts when they were going against each other. One girl had said something of like, "Who do you think you are, Picard?" That poetry reading or meta acting situation mentioned Geordi and Ro phasing. Okay, so that was funny. I thought that was funny. We have Janice here. I'm getting bullied on TikTok. Any advice for me? Well, that sucks. We don't like that, Janice, at all. So the only thing that I can say to you is to block them. The one thing that I learned, this is what I learned, social media, real quick, is that ignore the haters, block them, move on, because there's nothing you could do about it. They're just being trolls, and we don't have the energy for that kind of negativity. Okay, so I'm sorry that's happening to you, but hopefully you can just block them and just enjoy what you have on TikTok. Okay, I check Instagram real fast, and Janice is over there as well. So yeah. But as for the episode, that's about it. That's about it. I don't really know what else to talk about. It was just like, okay, we didn't really get a mention again about the dimensional rifts. Freeman really didn't mention about how she was obsessing over her alternate self, being in Starbase 80. I kind of wish they had mentioned that a little bit. But yeah, that was it. There was not much to say about it. I think it was just something that was needing to be thrown together, and maybe they wanted to spread it out, but they couldn't because they found out they were canceled. So I think maybe that's what happened. If you guys have any other comments, so Dave, yes, sorry to hear that to Janice. I'm being bullied too. Hang in there. What is with the bullying, people? Oh my gosh. And it's just social media, man. You either love it or you hate it, right? It is one of those things where it is just really, really hard to handle. And perfect timing, Tim. Thank you for joining. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Aggressive positivity, guys. That's what you need to do. Stay away from the haters. Stay away from those who, because you know what? They're just jealous. That's what I say. They're just jealous. They have no time on their hands. We don't need that negativity in our lives, and we move on. So yeah, yes, Tim, bullies suck. They really do. But yeah, again, episode's over. That's it. I had to, like I said, I had to do this a little sooner. And oh, Dave, that's horrible. I'm being bullied in my own Star Trek group. That makes me mad. Okay. That makes me really mad. The mom in me is starting to get into defensive mode, and I'm trying to hold back. Tim says, remember, if people are bullying you, it means that they wish they had something you had. Boom. Exactly, Tim. Exactly. So yeah, it's amazing how, like I said, bullying is no matter where you're at. I mean, I've been bullied all my life, and it just gets worse while it's on social media, and I've been bullied here too. It is what it is. Yeah, Dave, it happens. It's just oh, sorry, we brought the room down, guys. But I think one other thing is that if you do feel like you got bullied from your group, know that others that stand beside you, those are your true friends. Okay. And I learned that people that I thought were my friends. And I know that I'm not the best person. Like I've definitely have um, I have a history. I haven't been the greatest person, and I've had to learn a lot and really deep down and figure myself out and try and be a better person. And those that stuck by me, those are my true friends. And Tim is one of them. Thank you, Tim. So yeah, I think when you go through something and you are not being judged by other people and they're just going to love you for who you are, and they stand by you no matter the mistakes that you've made, and you understand those mistakes, that's who you stick with. That's your circle. That's your circle, Dave. Find a better circle. Unfortunately, even Star Trek, we can't even get away from the negativity. Dave says, hugs. Jesse's so glad you're here for us on Friday. Oh, well, thank you. I was almost thinking of changing the day, but I think I'm going to stick to Fridays. Tim says, sorry, I missed the majority of the live show. Do I get partial credit for showing up at closing? Yes, but I'm not technically done, Tim. I may be done with the episode because there was honestly not a lot to talk about. So unfortunately, I had to kind of rush through. No, Janice, we will not be crying because of the bullies. They are not worth your tears. Okay. So you are going to be here and enjoy, and we are going to talk about the Crushers. And this is a perfect little segue because I got to do something very exciting today. I didn't announce this because we were trying to figure out a time and I wasn't sure what kind of interview I was going to do. But I did get to interview Gates McFadden, and that happened today. Got about 20 minutes of solid time with her. I feel so honored. I'm so excited. I feel like my whole podcast, excuse me, came full circle today with having an interview with her. I'm going to be editing it after the show, and I'm going to be dropping it tomorrow. And also, Gates did mention on Instagram that she is going to be live on Instagram tomorrow. So I think they said 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, but check out her Instagram just in case. Or you can check out her Gates Plays, which is the people that promote her work. So yeah, super excited. I tried to get in some fan questions. I had a couple of friends that I was like, hey, do you guys have any penny for your thoughts? And I only got one in because my time was running out. And I was like, well, crap. So yeah, I was definitely excited and feel blessed. And thank you guys. Dave says, woohoo. Tim says, yay, Gates. Did she crush it? She crushed it. Yes, she did. She kind of turned the tables on me and started asking about me. And I was like, oh crap, I hope I'm telling her the right information. Dave says, crush her time. Janice, I will ask my dad to buy me Will Wheaton merch. That sounds like a good plan. And Chuck says, yay, Gates. So yes, I'm super excited. And yeah, Janice, I hope one day Will Wheaton will make an appearance, crossing fingers. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it was awesome. And I can't wait to show it to you guys. Got to do some editing. But I guess I will. Let me just double check my notes here, make sure that I'm not jumping the gun. And nope, we're going to go ahead into our tricorder rating.
My tricorder.
Like I said, not many votes, which means not many people liked it. And it's all across the board. So 13 votes total. 46% actually gave it 5 bagoons. Okay, so there is a good chunk of people that actually really liked it. And probably because we got to see the bridge crew. We got to see the senior officers. We've been complaining. Where's Tiana? Where's Shax? Where we really don't get to see really Ransom and Freeman very often. So I think that's why people enjoyed it. 31% gave it 4 carved pumpkins. So they were like, it was good, but not great. 15% gave it 3 alien invasions. So middle of the road. And then 8% gave it 1 to 2 compliments. So not that great. I'm kind of in the middle. I think I'm going to give it a solid 3. Okay. Because there were moments that I enjoyed, and there were moments that I was just like, what's going on? Actually, when I was first watching it, I kind of glazed over. And I hate to say that because I love this show, but I was just not into it. That I really had to kind of go back and be like, okay, cool. We'll see what happens. And so there's a tricorder rating, not the great. Dave even said, he gave it a 7.5 out of 10. So it's like it was a decent episode. We had some great moments, but it just wasn't that great. And now I guess I will head into my redhead alert. So this is a big one, guys, and I really wanted to mention this. D&D, baby. Gates is joining her other space son, her favorite Titan captain, sorry, freaks, and two Trek OGs and two very special guests as they play D&D for the Pablub Foundation, which helps fund research for the pediatric cancers. It is a live stream event that is happening tomorrow over on Twitch at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You do not want to miss this. This is Gates' first time playing Dungeons and Dragons. She is, from what I heard, and this is from other interviews and stuff, she's been like practicing. She has been figuring out her character. She's trying to figure out what the numbers mean. Like, she is going all in for this foundation. Super excited. And maybe her live stream tomorrow is also going to be discussing that. So you guys do not want to miss it. And again, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also, Trek Talks. It is almost here, guys. We are already in December, and this is January 18th. So, of course, this wonderful benefit helps raise money for the Hollywood Food Coalition. John Billingsley and Bonnie Gordon are hosting with some amazing Trek stars and segments. Do not forget to follow them on the socials at @Trek_Talks. You can subscribe to their YouTube channel at Trek Talks Telethon, and all their information can be found on at trektalks.net. And remember, when you purchase a Be Kind Like Crusher design at my TeePublic store, all the proceeds will go to Trek Talks. And TeePublic is having a sale right now, so you don't want to miss it. And of course, there they are, John Billingsley and Bonnie Gordon. I already hear that Nana Visitor is going to be on there, Robert Picardo. And I believe they've been mentioning more and more people. So again, you do not want to miss it. Here's my information. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Crusher Convo content. As of right now, I am doing the react and reviews of the final season as I am finishing my season 2. I am loving this season. It does break my heart that is ending, but this episode, I feel just slightly disappointed. But it happens, nothing's going to be great. I think this is kind of more of a filler episode, if you want to call it. Don't forget that you can also listen to me on all the audio versions of Crusher Convo on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or your favorite podcast app. You can support the podcast by buying merch over at TeePublic, like buying the Be Kind Like Crusher. You can buy me a coffee, or you can become a Patreon member for as low as $3 a month. And my Patreon shout outs go to Chuck, who is in the chat, and Engineer Mark. Thank you for your support. Remember, I am no longer on Twitter, so please find me on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, or TikTok. And of course, all this information can be found at crusherconvo.com. All right. Let me check the chat real fast. Tim said it's been a good day. The family is over. Awesome. Love to hear it. We had a very long week, and so I had to get to work really early so I can get home and do Gates's interview. So it's been a very long day, but it's been a very fulfilling day. So I'm very, very excited. And let me see if I'm missing anything. So yeah, and David said, "Love that, Jesse. This is exciting." So yeah, he's talking about my interview with Gates. So it's going to drop tomorrow. So I'm still waiting on getting the interview, and then I'll edit it, and then I'll drop it tomorrow. I'm hoping to drop it at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that is the goal. But yeah, next week's episode is called Fissure Quest. So it looks like we are finally going to find out what those dimensional rifts are all about as we hit near the end of Star Trek Lower Decks. I will be here next Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So come and join me live. And don't forget to check out my interview with Gates, which, like I said, drops tomorrow. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me today. Had a packed house over on Instagram. Had a couple people join. There's Paula. Hello. And yeah, this was so much fun. I feel like I do want a quick little thing. If you guys do listen to my podcast on the audio versions like Spotify and things like that, I would love if you guys could write a review. Give me 1 star, 5 star, 4 star, whatever you want to do. I think that would any bit helps. Okay. And I want to thank Tim for writing a recent review about Crusher Convo. I really appreciate it, Tim. Thank you so much. So, but yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you, Tim, Janice, Dave, Chuck, David from earlier, people over on Instagram. Really appreciate it. Again, decent episode. We'll find out what happens next week. But yeah, I am going to go ahead and go, and I will see you guys next time. Live long and prosper. Bye, guys.
Crusher out.